Let me start with a question. Have you ever found yourself in a relationship where everything felt perfect at first? He was charming, attentive, maybe even showering you with gifts or sweet words, and then suddenly, he pulled away. One day, he's sending you good morning texts, and the next, he's ghosting you for hours, sometimes even days. If that's ever happened to you, just know, you're not alone. And honestly, I think most women I've talked to have lived through some version of this story. The problem is, by the time you figure out who he really is, the damage is already done. So today, I want to share with you 5 research-backed ways to test a man before he destroys you. Now, before you think I mean games or manipulations, let me be clear. I'm not talking about tricking him. I'm talking about observing his character, paying attention to his patterns, and protecting yourself before you give your heart to someone who doesn't deserve it. Point 1. Watch how he handles boundaries. Here's the thing. A healthy relationship starts with respect. And one of the quickest ways to test a man is to set small boundaries and see how he reacts. For example, let ES say you tell him you don't like phone calls after midnight because you need your rest. A man who's serious about you will respect that. A man who's emotionally unavailable or looking for something casual. He'll push against your boundary, make you feel guilty, or even call you too much. Believe it or not, psychology research on communication in relationships shows that how people respond to boundaries is directly tied to their level of respect and emotional intelligence in relationships. If he tries to guilt trip you, that's a red flag. It's a small test that reveals a lot. I remember talking to a friend. Let's call her Jasmine. She met this guy who seemed great at first. But the moment she said she needed more time before becoming intimate, he got cold, distant, and eventually started breadcrumbing her, little texts here and there just to keep her hooked. That was her wake-up call. Long story short, boundaries aren't about pushing him away. They were about finding out if he is capable of healthy relationships. Point 2. Pay attention to how he communicates under stress. In a nutshell, anyone can be sweet when things are going well. The real test is how he communicates when things aren't perfect. Does he shut down and disappear, ghosting? Does he get defensive and start gaslighting you? Or does he sit down, breathe, and try to talk it through? Love psychology shows that attachment styles play a huge role here. An avoidant attachment style might show up as pulling away whenever things get tough, while an anxious style might look like love bombing you one day and then disappearing the next. Let us be real here. Modern dating has made it way too easy for people to just bail at the first sign of discomfort. But if you're building something serious, you want a man who can actually face conflict. That doesn't mean yelling or winning the argument. It means listening, compromising, and respecting your perspective. That's the kind of emotional intelligence in relationships that makes or breaks marriages. I could be wrong, but I feel like most women know deep down when a man isn't able to handle real conversations. The question is, are you willing to see the signs before it's too late? Point 3. Look for consistency, not intensity. To be perfectly honest, this is where most of us get fooled. A guy comes in with fireworks, grand gestures, passionate declarations. You are the one I've been waiting for, and it feels like a movie. But then, 2 months later, that intensity fades, and you're left wondering if it was ever real. This is where you need to test his consistency. Does he show up when he says he will? Does he keep his promises, even the small ones? Because the truth is, love bombing can feel intoxicating, but it often leads straight into situationships where you're left confused and heartbroken. Think about it. Consistency is what builds trust. Without it, you're constantly stuck in relationship problems, questioning his motives, and trying to figure out what to do when he pulls away. Here's a quick relationship tip. Don't just ask yourself, does he make me feel special? Ask yourself, does he make me feel safe? Safety doesn't come from intensity. It comes from reliability. Point 4. Notice how he talks about women in general. This one's subtle but powerful. The way a man talks about women, his exes, his mother, his female coworkers, says a lot about how he will eventually treat you. If every ex he's had was crazy, if every woman he knows is too emotional, that's not a coincidence. That's a mindset. I guess what I'm trying to say is, You can test a man's character by the way he speaks when you were not the one he's trying to impress. It's kind of like pulling back the curtain and seeing who he really is. For what it's worth, research shows that people who lack respect for the opposite sex are more likely to engage in toxic behaviors like gaslighting, breadcrumbing, and emotional unavailability. So if he can't talk about women respectfully when you're just dating, don't expect that to magically change once you're in a marriage. Point 5. See if he's willing to rebuild trust after a mistake. Let's be real here. No one's perfect. At some point, he's going to mess up, whether it's forgetting something important, saying the wrong thing, or letting you down in some way. The real test isn't whether he makes a mistake. It is whether he makes the effort to rebuild trust afterward. Marriage counseling experts say that couples who thrive long-term are not the ones who never fight, but the ones who learn how to fix a relationship after conflict. That includes apologizing sincerely, making amends, and changing behavior. Not just saying, "Sorry, I'll do better," and repeating the same thing again. I once knew a woman named Carla who gave her partner multiple chances after he kept ghosting her and then coming back with excuses. Every time he promised he'd change, but his actions never lined up. She finally realized if a man can't take responsibility for small betrayals, he'll never handle the big ones. So the question you should ask yourself isn't just, will he mess up, but will he do the work to rebuild trust when he does? At the end of the day, testing a man isn't about being paranoid or cynical. It's about protecting your heart and making sure you are building with someone who is capable of love, respect, and commitment. Because when push comes to shove, you deserve a partner who shows up, communicates, respects your boundaries, and proves through actions, not just words, that he's in it for the long haul. And honestly, I know it's tough out here. Modern dating can feel like a minefield of ghosting, breadcrumbing, and emotional unavailability. But here's the good news. When you start using these tests, you stop wasting time on men who aren't serious, and you start opening space for the kind of love that actually feels good, safe, and sustainable. So, let me ask you, have you ever tested a man and found out the truth about him way sooner than you expected? Or maybe you ignored the tests and paid the price. Drop your story in the comments. I'd love to hear it, and I know other women in this community will benefit too. And if this video gave you some solid relationship advice or made you think twice about the men you letting into your life, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with a friend who might need it. Together, we're building a community of women who know their worth and refuse to settle. Because you, my friend, you deserve a healthy relationship.